Welcome to this presentation. My name is Serugga and I'm presenting on behalf of team of Bernardi, Ellen, Mike and Patricia, and our title is Front-End Design and Value Generation, looking at a housing project in Tommelein. We are trying to understand how design solutions can present themselves in solutions that meet problems in society, particularly from a front-end design perspective. In this, we are examining how value judgments can be constructed and how these influence or are influenced by contextual factors such as the environment, politics, technology, economy, and biological factors, among others. To understand and put this in context, we are looking at front-end design as part of the process of understanding, transforming, and delivery of value to the end user, who we call client in this case. All these forms serve to focus, in our view, in this research, to focus design teams onto value creation for the user. In terms of front-end design, how it's structured, there are 9 distinct phases that we found in research, including the outline planning, scope development, justification, of course, which involves feasibility studies, sometimes called project definition in IGLC spectrum, IGLC forum, and high-level definition of high-level purpose, development of outline designs. We have elements of stakeholder planning, project risk management, funding, identifying funding, and defining outline benefits for projects. So this picture we have here, which we've developed, shows the direction of development of value, or if we can say the direction of delivery of benefits. So we start off with the purpose at the bottom here, and we end up upwards towards terminal value. In between, we have processes of cognition, trade-offs, transforming user requirements into design requirements that can deliver utility value and ultimately instrumental and terminal value. In terms of front-end design, the main point of front-end design is to be an anchor in the value generation process as at an intermediate level. So a lot of downstream processes lend their success to what happens in front-end design. So front-end design is that process where you could, for example, think about any changes that would cost less in terms of the project than if they were carried out at a later stage. So it's that stage in the project development cycle where you could harness opportunities, set the agenda for later processes, and have a process that is able to capture requirements and engage with them constructively in transforming them into design requirements. Our approach to our methodological approach is case study based, and the case study we've engaged with in this research is a new housing development in Porto Alegre, Rio Grande do Sul, and it's through open interviews with stakeholders and participants, including engineers, designers, engineering managers, project managers, and end users themselves. 2 main players are identified for this project. That's the main developer, who is a contractor or contracting manager, and the collaborating design and engineering company, all both based in Porto Alegre. In terms of the main contract, their role can be summed up as that of facilitating collaboration and refining the concept. So that involves, in terms of collaboration, workshops and engaging with designers and local residents, potential users as well in there, and understanding, of course, their desires and needs, which are integrated into the concept that is part driven by the emotional attachment from the developer, the contractor themselves, in terms of assessment, and of course the approach. The concept at this point, it's driven, the emotional attachment obviously has been something that has been developing over the years, and up to now, this is something they think they can perfect in the new project, having tried to do that previously. Again, the key elements here to understand who, from the developer's perspective, who the client is, and it ultimately is the end user who will be spending the money. So again, the question is, how do they satisfy them? End users in this context are looking for great designs, so that's aesthetics, form, function. Those are key elements, but then again, those are part of every design. But how you understand them is quite important. Here, the particular concept, because of the climate the project is in, is that link between what's been designed and the outdoor environment. This image is the visual of the concept that the design company and the management company arrived at as the final concept to be developed, and it's mainly espouses futuristic concepts, urban living, modern apartments that are hopefully, in their view, will attract the type of clientele that they are looking to sell to. This visual captures the generic approach to development that is generally the approach for this development, which is that link between the development itself and the users, and obviously, on the other hand, is the understanding of the various constraints upon the project and the requirements that have to be captured and managed and ultimately delivered in terms of the benefits for the users. This slide captures the generic process of concept development from the design company's perspective. This is how they understood the site and the setup and the neighborhood, and this informed the subsequent development of the general design going forwards. In terms of the outline design, the company, the design company, who is the second main stakeholder, is responsible for developing a business case in terms of the identified site and liaising with the main contractor, the management company, to somehow come up to some agreement as to the right concept. That informs the main justification for the design, because it's commercially driven. So the two main elements in there are the design and obviously the site constraints. As it's an inner city development initiative, sites are always one of those that should be sought after. So a site has to be identified first before anything else is really taken into account, unlike other developments that could be out there where you have several options for a site. This is unlike that, because Obviously, Porto Alegre being a massive city in Rio Grande do Sul, the biggest city, it has those site constraints to be taken into account. This is another visual of what has been what was produced in the concepts for marketing purposes, and of course, here is a stakeholder plan that has been drafted up. So the key stakeholders in here, of course, the main contractor, we've mentioned them, the design and engineering partner. Obviously, there is an element of the planning and control, neighborhood facilitators and interest groups. All those play a part constraining processes in this project. This is a list of the stakeholders and their goals and roles and some of their backgrounds and their motivations. If you want to go through them, it's another continuation. And a key element in this project was how it was funded. So the funding regime, of course, was something that was innovative. Part of the funding was own capital from the management company, developing company. Obviously, there was negotiation between the site owners in terms of the stake they could take into the development and how they could recoup the money that they had intended. Of course, there was group investors through crowdfunding and other sources. So that was a key element. The money has to be, or the funding has to be upfront for you to engage with such a project. In terms of the outline project benefits, the main drivers were the understanding of the quality needs or expectations from the end users that were set quite high. This is an area, this city, an inner city development where trends are being set with every new development. But alongside that was the acceptance that there had to be an understanding of the market trends themselves in order to be able to recoup whatever investment that went in there. Bear in mind, this was across various forms, and obviously the risks that came with the project itself, not least the site constraints that potentially could have increased, with the project itself, the specifics of the project itself. Project therefore to engage with purpose or the high-level purposes that relate to goals and methods, as highlighted by Tana. And these include the understanding of, for example, how the execution can flow seamlessly during implementation of the project, delivery of the the expected high-level development in terms of form and function, and obviously harnessing any opportunities in technologies such as use of B.M.B.S. This understanding was obviously based on experience from both the management and the design companies that have been engaged in this industry for at least 30 years in the industry, so they could bring this on board to actually bring benefits to the project itself. This slide is demonstration or an illustration of planning, the internal planning process from the design company in development. Most of them, in terms of the research itself, the results that we identify is elements of front-end design processes were applied, and it was possible to identify some value generation, value creation within the processes themselves. So to drill this further, we look at the end user at the top, and we have the main contractor, who is a developing company, the design company, and the the link between the end user is almost at all levels. A specific note here is that the crowdfunding mechanism is operated within the design company as a subsidiary entity. Front-end design, in terms of value creation, of course, this slide summarizes the key concepts in justification for them. We're looking at something, they were looking for something new and innovative, high quality. These are some of the aspirations. These are some of the values that you'll be looking for, something to aspire, so the perceptions they'll be looking to have in the project. So on the part of the developers, they'll be looking for collaboration, for example. They'll be looking to minimize or maximize rather the knowledge base from previous developments, and obviously tackle the issue of marketing, because they have to sell these items once they've been developed. They were seeking out opportunities to enhance their leverage, if I may use that word, opportunities for feedback, for continuous learning for future developments, as well as this one as well. So in summing up, in relating to the original 9 areas of front-end design, all areas were almost applied in one way or the other, apart from the 2 that are grayed out, and those are for reasons that are very contextual. But more generally, the other areas of front-end design did feature in value creation. In conclusion, there is 4 main observations. The first 2 relate to the positive observations, and the last 2 relate to those concerns that we identified in our research. First of all, to state is that front-end design as a practice was identified as a process within the development of this project, and it can be concluded that it contributed to value generation during design. The main contractor actually engaged with the process itself and finds it as something to carry forward in future projects, and therefore that is a positive. As mentioned earlier, all 7 out of the 9 distinct areas of front-end design could be identified either explicitly or implicitly. However, there were 2 major missed opportunities. First, both of them actually relating to user engagement. First of all, the design company operates a subsidiary entity for crowdfunding, which generates or captures a lot of data that could be integrated into understanding the design and value proposition better. This, on the second point, wasn't engaged with, and there was no demonstrable effort to engage with it. This was highlighted in terms of our engagement with the participants, the stakeholders, and this is something they are going to be carrying forward and exploring more, because actually it contains a database that is extensive, contains up-to-date information about user desires that is captured as part of the registration process for the innovative crowdfunding platform that the design company operates. Thank you.